everybody, and welcome to our trip guide for Clayton County through outdoor adventures made easy. Now, we go to lots of different places, and some of them are really well known and other ones are hidden gems. And I would have to say that Clayton County does not get the credit it deserves for the many outdoor adventures that it has readily available for you to explore. So we're hoping that our trip guide and this trip tips video will help you to start planning your next adventure to Clayton County. Today in this video, we're going to go over our recommendations on where to go, where to stay, and then some other trip tips that will make planning your next adventure even better. So let's jump in. Our first stop that we recommend is Pikes Peak State Park. Not to be confused with the one out in Colorado, but Iowa has one of its own. When we're there, we really like to head first to the overlook. There's actually 2 levels to this overlook, so you can get so many beautiful views of the Mississippi River Valley. From there, we continue on our hike toward Bridal Veil Falls. On your way, you'll actually pass Bear Effigy, which is one of 63 effigies that they have in the park there. It is important to know that this is a sacred space for Native Americans, and we need to be respectful while we're there. So that's something to probably talk to your kids a little bit about, or your family, to make sure that we are being respectful while we're there. So stay on the path, don't be walking on the mound itself. Okay, from that Bear Effigy, you can continue on and you'll actually follow the boardwalk, and it will take you to Bridal Veil Falls. This is best viewed after a local rainfall, which we never seem to hit. But it's beautiful any time of year. But if you can hit it after a local rainfall, it's even more beautiful. So keep that in mind when you're visiting the park. If you want to keep hiking, there are more areas to explore. But normally by then, my kids are ready to head to a different adventure. And so we don't always do a ton of hiking at Pikes Peak State Park. But definitely worth checking out. It's a great place to picnic. And there's also a campground there as well if you want to make that your home base. All right, speaking of campgrounds, I'm going to tell you about our favorite campground in Iowa. This is Spook Cave Campground. There is so much to do, and that's why we make this our home base. So first of all, you don't have to camp here to do the first 2 things I'm going to talk about, and that is exploring Spook Cave and viewing Beulah Falls, the waterfall. So if you want to check out Spook Cave, they have guided boat tours that are normally somewhere between 35 to 40 minutes. So if you're going to do that, here are my recommendations. Dress warm because it's normally about 47 degrees in the cave itself. And if you're claustrophobic or it's trickier for you to move around, I probably would not recommend this boat tour. There are a few places where you actually kind of have to slide down in your seat and duck, and there are a few close quarters. We aren't claustrophobic. We didn't have any problems with that, but just a word of warning for that. It is really cool because you don't have to hike through the cave. You get to just sit there, listen to the guided tour, and kind of just take in the fun experience of it all. So like I said, you don't have to camp at Spook Cave to do the guided tour or to check out Beulah Falls. So on your way into the campground, you'll actually see Beulah Falls. It's a waterfall that's coming out of the bluff line and then falls about 20 feet into Bloody Run Trout Stream below. So both of those things, feel free to check out no matter what. If you're in the area, I would say definitely do it. But if you're interested in making this your home base, here's other amenities that are available to you. So you can camp in the campground. They also have cabins. There is a playground, goggle ball, basketball court, the cleanest bathrooms I have ever seen, like to the point where I just was in disbelief. Like, I think it was cleaner than my own bathroom at home. Every morning that we were staying there, I saw the owner cleaning the bathrooms. Like, she got to the bathrooms cleaning them before I even got all the way out of bed and headed there. So I was super impressed with that. They have laundry on site, which for our family is unbelievable because we are always in muddy, gross clothes that need washed. So that was really great. And then also, if you are camping there, then there is a pond at the back of the campground. It's far enough that it would if you had older kids, they could probably walk, but younger kids, you'll have to drive back down there with them. But there is a swimming beach, canoes, and kayaks. So the canoes and kayak paddles you have to check out from the main office area, because that's only available to people who are camping there. And there's also fishing in that pond as well. You can also trout fish in Bloody Run Trout Stream that runs through the campground as well. So like I said, there's so much to do at Spook Cave Campground that this is why we always make it our home base while we're up in Clayton County. It really enhances the trip. Next up is Effigy Mounds National Monument. So if you're one of the people like us that has those passports that you stamp at the different national parks or national historic sites, there is a place that you can stamp your passport there. But this is a really interesting and important location. I wouldn't say it has the most kid-friendly hikes, because there's a lot of hills or they're farther hikes. But it's really an important place to take your kids. Even if you're just going to the visitor center to check that out, I think that you should go. This is a very sacred and important site to Native Americans. So again, this is something that's important to talk to your children or your family about, and make sure that they understand the importance of this area and the fascinating history that's behind it. So Effigy Mounds National Monument, definitely a place you want to check out. If you're interested in the different hikes, we have them listed with the trail length and what you can expect in the trip guide. So be sure to check that out. Motor Mill Historic Site is such a cool location. We just happened to time it right where we were able to stop on a Sunday when they were open. But if you can kind of plan your trip to be able to do that, I would recommend it. This is a 6-story limestone built mill, and it was built in the late 1860s. So really cool history behind it. And you can actually, on Sundays, if they're open, you can actually go all the way up to the top floor, and you can really get a good feel on what they used the space for. They have a really cool interpretive recreation on the main floor. And then you can go down to actually see where the water moved through the mill itself. So really cool location. Totally recommend it. If you can get a tour, try and do that. If not, there's still some cool hiking and some different things to check out in the area. There's a Boy Scout trail that goes all the way up to the top of the bluff where the old quarry is, where they quarried the limestone from there and then brought it down to actually build the mill itself. So that's pretty cool. And then also if you're paddling, Motor Mill, just downstream from Motor Mill is a boat ramp that you might use as your on-ramp or off-ramp to the Turkey River there. Speaking of the Turkey River, if you can paddle it while you're there, I would totally recommend it. So there's 2 main trips in that area that I would recommend. And that's based off of the skill level and the attention level of your group. So the first one is Elkader to Motor Mill, and that is 5.6 miles. If you have kids, this is the one you should do. And I'm speaking from experience because we actually did the longer route, which is 11.6 miles, and that's from Motor Mill to Garber. And that was too long for my kids and my husband and me, honestly. So if you have a choice and you have younger kids, definitely opt for the shorter one. Both great paddles. I would say that the 11.6 mile one is one of the most remote paddles we've ever done. Like, there was very little sign of civilization along the way. So that was really, really cool. But we just didn't quite have as much time to explore, and we kind of like to linger on the rock bars and, do that sort of thing. So if you're really into just paddling, I would recommend the 11.6 miles. But if you're looking for something a little shorter, I would say go ahead and do the Elkader to Motor Mill. We just rented while we were up there, and we went through Turkey River Rental, and we were happy with them. So be sure to check out a day on the Turkey River while you're up in Clayton County. It is so beautiful. All right, Big Spring Trout Hatchery. This is a really interesting location. It wasn't quite what I thought. So this is used by the DNR. This is the biggest spring in Iowa. And this is used by the DNR to hatch and rear trout, which then they go and release at different locations in Iowa. So this is definitely a working location for the DNR. It is not built around entertaining or interpreting to the public. They do have some interpretation there, but that's definitely not their main goal. So just keep that in mind when you're touring there. But what we thought was really cool is that they actually have like a youth trout pond. And so you can go there with your kids. Only your kids can trout fish there. They have to be with a license. So the adult has to have a fishing license and a trout stamp in order to fish there. But if you're with an adult who has that, then the youth can actually fish there for trout. So that's pretty cool. Kind of gives them a leg up and hopefully a chance for them to catch their first trout. Also at Big Spring Trout Hatchery is a primitive campground if you want to extend your trip and spend a little bit more time there. Okay, 2 nearby stops in the area that I have to recommend. This is Bixby State Preserve and Brush Creek Canyon State Preserve. So both of these are more rugged. Trails aren't maintained very well, but absolutely beautiful areas. So if you have older kids that really like exploring, or you yourself just like that, I would definitely recommend these. These are not stroller friendly. These are not like, I can't think of any other like parameters to say, but like if you like well-maintained, well-manicured trails, do not go here. This is very rustic, but the reward is just absolutely beautiful, pristine, natural areas. So let's go through each of them so you get a better idea of what they each have. So first up is Bixby State Preserve, my favorite state preserve in Iowa. So there's a little spring that you can either kind of take a rugged trail to or take a creek hike to get there. There's also Steamboat Rock. So you climb very high up the bluff and come into Steamboat Rock. So this is not one you would want to do with young kids. This is a like physically taxing trail. It's not very long, but the incline is very, very steep. But the view is beautiful, and honestly, the hike itself is just beautiful. So it has the spring, Steamboat Rock, but the coolest part about Bixby State Preserve is the ice cave. And if you have been to an ice cave before, delete it from your mind. This is not the same thing as any of the other ice caves you've been to. This ice cave blows out cold air at you. Like, it's crazy. I can't even figure out any other place that I've been to that's similar to this. So it is blowing out like 40-degree air at you, which feels amazing on a hot day. And it's just so surreal. So we absolutely love going to Bixby State Preserve, and you need to add it to your list if you like rugged, rustic places. The other state preserve is Brush Creek Canyon, very similar to Bixby. It's got these really cool bluffs. It has a clear trout stream running through it. And what we like to do is we like to just get down into the creek and just creek hike it. We've gone up the stream, down the stream. We've checked it out. And this is really just a beautiful place. We rarely see other people at Brush Creek Canyon. Sometimes you'll run into a trout fisher, man or woman, and just be, be courteous of not bothering them while they're trying to fish there. But really, really cool area to explore. Where to stay in Clayton County. So I have kind of like 3 levels of recommendation. The first one is like my top recommendation, but I would say it is a little bit higher price per night than what we normally stay. So that's Spook Cave Campground. I've already told you all of the awesome things about it, but my highlights, so much to do while you're there, super clean bathrooms, laundry on site, awesome owners. So all of that, keep in mind. Do note, though, that Spook Cave does have a railroad track that goes through it. And so sometimes at night, a train will come through. So if that's really going to affect your family, keep that in mind before booking. I would also like to say, I don't get a kickback for any of these recommendations. This is just our personal experience. So my number 1 recommendation, Spook Cave Campground and Resort. If you don't want to pay that much per night, or maybe Spook Cave is full by the time you've started your planning, which is quite possible, then I would recommend Pikes Peak State Park. So this is average amenities, average price. State parks are kind of hit or miss. Like the crowd that's there, sometimes not my favorite, and other times it's great. So state parks are kind of a mixed basket on what you get for that. If you are more into the rustic options and you want to do some primitive camping, there are so many beautiful locations that you can camp up there. But keep in mind, when they say primitive, they mean it. So there's no running water on site, there's no electricity on site, and the locations just normally have like a porta potty or a pit toilet for a bathroom. So if that is what you're looking for, more power to you. Just make sure that you're bringing water with you and you're ready to rough it a little bit. But very affordable and beautiful locations. So in the trip guide, we kind of outlined some of our favorite places up in Clayton County to stay if you're looking into primitive camping. In the trip guide, we also include our car camping packing list. So that way, if you are camping, you can look at our gear recommendations that we always like to pack. But that kind of sums up our trip tips for our trip guide to Clayton County, Iowa. I hope that this has been informative to you and that you're thinking right now about how to plan your trip and also wondering, how did you not know about how beautiful Clayton County, Iowa can be? So be sure to head to our website, check out our trip guide there for Clayton County, and start planning your next adventure.